Hey guys, how you doing? Sorry, I had to get a little bit more stuff here than I thought. I'm probably putting too much time and effort into this. I've been working on this for a few days now. Actually, geez, I think I've been working on this almost a week because I wanted to make sure I had as much information as I possibly could have to put out there because look, I don't know what's going on, but it just seems very suspicious to me, and I wanted to make everybody aware of uh, what the Commerce Department and the Census Bureau under the Biden administration are potentially doing. And so, what's happening is every 5 years or so, the Commerce Department conducts what's called a commodity flow survey. And the commodity flow survey is just one of those things that's designed, the purpose of it is to manage infrastructure and our transportation industry. So that's the main purpose of the commodity flow survey. And I'm going to go through this is probably going to be boring for a lot of people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the basics of what's happening, and then I'm going to go through the various aspects of the law. As you know, now that I have graduated law school, my interest now is on the authority of government to do the things that it does and to make sure that it's not exceeding that authority in many different ways. And so what's happening here, here's the main crux of the issue. The Census Bureau is sending out these so-called commodity flow surveys to predominantly online retailers of holsters. These are holster companies, holster manufacturers that create holsters. Many of these companies you've heard of. I'm only going to talk about two today because there are only two that one are taking an overt stand to oppose this effort, and two that I've gotten permission to talk about. So JM4 holsters is the first one, and On Your Six holsters. These are two awesome companies that are small businesses. They believe in the Second Amendment. They don't believe in exceeding government, or or allowing the government to exceed their authority. They don't think that they believe more in their uh, customers' ability to not be known than having to obey what is potentially a wrong-headed and who knows what they're trying to do this for. So anyway, JM4, which Chad, I've talked to Chad, and great guys over there at JM4 and On Your Six holsters. As a matter of fact, I've got a JM4 holster coming that I got for one of my 1911s, and I was hoping to have it. Yeah, who knows? But either way, but I've also contacted, because I did my own research. I don't just, just because someone calls me or sends me a message, I don't generally go and do a video about it unless I've done my own research. So I called around. First, I started with holster companies that I've personally bought holsters from. And these are big name holster companies. And here's what I'll do. I don't need their permission to say who I've bought holsters from or who I've contacted. But what I'm not going to do is tell you, one, whether or not they've gotten these surveys, and two, whether or not they've completed them. Because some companies that I've contacted have received the surveys, and a couple of them actually returned them, not really understanding or knowing sort of what it is, because they thought it was just a standard survey. So, I mean, we're talking not only JM4 and On Your Six holsters, but I mean, big name companies like We the People holsters and what's the other one? Anyway, there are several others that have gotten these surveys. Again, I'm not going to explain. I don't have permission to tell you what their stance on it is or anything like that. So I'm going to show you right now. Whoops. There we go. So this is what, and I've removed the contact information of those that sent me this, but this is a copy of what the Census Bureau is sending out. Now, this is, of course, a past due notice here. And they're essentially saying, hey, we haven't received your 2022 commodity flow survey. And, just so you know, your response here is required by law. You're supposed to do that. And it lists a bunch of laws here. Now, here's the thing. Why is the government sending out these flow surveys to holster companies? And here's another question. Is it just holster companies? Who's getting these surveys? Well, let me bring this back up. Here, let me do this here. And I've done a lot of research here. So first of all, just so you know, actually, let me go through the law real quick. Oh, goodness. I've got so much stuff open here. I'm trying to find out where. All right. So here's the current mandatory businesses survey. I don't think this is the same thing, but there's nothing in here. And this is from the Federal Register. The Federal Register is because according to the law, which I'm trying to find here, 224-193. Is it 193? Here we go. Well, all right, I'm just going to go through each one of these separately. But if you go through these laws here, each of these laws explain exactly what you're required to do. And the Census Bureau is required, and I don't remember exactly which one it is. I've got it on my sheet here somewhere. But before the Census Bureau sends out a census, they are required in the Federal Register, which is why I had the Federal Register open. They are required to put out a notice 60 days prior to sending out these requirements. So I looked and I went to the Federal Register. Did the Commerce Department do what it's supposed to do? The most recent thing I saw was this one, which was the current mandatory businesses survey. I didn't see anything down here about the commodity flows survey. So I went a little further back and I found something from November of last year. And this is where they're asking for information. And so usually you get 60 days from the time of publication, which puts this around January 3rd is when the time kicked off. And it's a commodity flows survey that was supposed to have affected 160,000 businesses. Okay, so the survey got sent out to 160,000 businesses. And I didn't ask because, again, that it was November that they even put out on the Federal Registry that they were going to do this. So I'm sure these businesses got these probably February, March timeframe because January was the close. They've got to go through all the comments, give them a couple months. So I don't know, April, May is when they potentially first got their notice. I didn't ask any of the companies that I contacted when they got their first notice, since the one that I'm showing you here is a past due notice that they're still going to refuse to answer. But here's the thing. This commodity flow survey is sent out to just 160,000 businesses. Now, there are 32.5, I guess I can't highlight that. As of 2021, just small businesses, there are 32.5 million small businesses in the US. 32.5 million. All right, million. And yet the survey is only going out to 160,000 businesses. And yet, for some reason, a bunch of holster companies are within this small degree of, and these are online holster companies. These aren't companies that send crates of holsters to box stores. So we're, again, keep in mind, this is a commodity flow. This is to ensure that the transportation infrastructure in the United States is able to handle the kinds of commodities that are flowing around in the country. So these are people who, like I said, JM4 on your six. You make an order online, they ship you an order. It goes essentially through USPS or UPS or FedEx or however they ship their holsters. This isn't big box stuff. So why, if only 160,000 companies are targeted out of 32.5 million at least, because that's just as of 2021. We all know that because of Biden's great economy, we've got all these extra companies and jobs that he's creating, right? So it's definitely more than 32.5 million, you would think. Why is it such a big subset of these online e-commerce holster companies? Well, as you know, the Bruen decision just came out, and a lot of these states that never allowed people to carry their guns. And okay, I can close this now because I just wanted to show you this is what I think, and I don't know. This is the best I could find. I believe this is the basis for the commodity flow survey that gun owners are getting. And like I said, this was a notice. It was noticed on November 3rd, which means you got 60 days. So December 3rd, January 3rd, around that time frame. Give them another 60 days to process any data or comments. I don't know if this says how many comments were received, but there are only 199 page views of this. So they couldn't have gotten that many comments if they're only even 199 page views. But look at this, the burden hour. This is the burden on companies that have to fill this out. Almost 1.3 million hours to comply with this request. Now, of course, that's 160,000 respondents. Divide that into 1.3 million hours, and that's how many hours they recommend or I guess believe that it's going to take for this to happen. All right, let me close that. So here's the letter again, and it's I have to wonder, because one of the things that the law does, and you're just going to have to actually, I think I wrote down, here we go. So it's 8B. Where's my 8B? Where's my 8B? Oh, please tell me I downloaded that one. Okay, I didn't download that one. Hang on. Stand by. The law that I wanted to bring up, for some reason, I didn't put it into PDF format, and I don't know why. I'm just going to bring it over here. I'm trying to be thorough with you guys because I want you to see that I'm not, trying to play games and stuff. All right, let me put this over here. Put that there. All right. So if you go back to the letter here, one of the laws that it says is this 13 USC. Let me bring this up. This 13 USC section 8B. Okay. Here is that section of the law, 8B. Now, what it means is they furnish statistical materials on behalf of departments, agencies, establishments of the federal government, the government of DC, the government of any possession or area, in other words, states, state or local agencies. Okay, so they're doing these for state and local agencies as well. Hey, zombie. Now, why is that important? Well, you now have states like California, New York, Hawaii, Illinois that are no longer may issue states. Because of the Bruen case, these states are no longer allowed to deny people based on, some whim, that you have to show some cause. So under Title 13 U.S. Code, Section 8B, the Census Bureau can collect data on behalf of a state agency. Now, little disclaimer here. The Bruen decision just came out. Okay, so the notice was put up last year in November. We can't say that the Bruen decision had anything to do with the fact that the commodities flow survey is targeting holster companies. and they couldn't have started targeting anybody until April. And remember, it was just a couple weeks ago that the Bruen case came out. And these, I don't have a date again on these letters, but we can just assume that when these were received, that it was or when they were sent, at least, it was probably right before the Bruen case. Now, did the government know where the court was going to go? They probably did. It was no secret after the Supreme Court heard the Bruen arguments during oral arguments time frame that the court was probably going to side against New York on this issue. And gee, around that same time, look what happens. You get these flow surveys going out to all these online holster companies. And what are they asking for? This is some of the stuff they're asking for right here. They're asking for dates of shipments, dollar values, the product description. The product description. Now, they want to know, and I'm just hypothetical here, maybe it's the, I don't know. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but it just seems kind of odd that now they want to know where holsters are going. Are they going to New York? Are they going to California? Are they going to Illinois? Are they going to Hawaii? That way they can track, well, gee, why would someone order a holster? Probably because they've got a gun that they want to put in that holster, and they're probably going to carry that gun. Because you don't need a holster if you're not going to carry the gun. You just keep it in your safe. You just keep it under your bed. You just keep it in your closet. You just keep it wherever. But if you're going to buy a holster, you're probably going to carry that firearm. And now every state is required to at least approve these licenses. Now, you could also say, well, CJ, I mean, why can't they just track who's getting a license? Well, they could, but now 25 states, half of the country now have unlicensed carry, open and concealed carry. 25 states, half the country, and more are coming. So, gee, why do you think they'd want to know where these holsters are going if you don't have to have a license? So it's very easy that these holster companies, if they send in this stuff, look where the city where it's going, the state it's going, not only the city, the specific zip code that it's going. Is it being sent by USPS? Is it being sent by, how is this stuff being sent to the customer? That's an easier way to track them. Export, and then, of course, where is it coming from? This is all the information. They're asking for order numbers. They want order numbers, and now they're not allowed to, by law, they're not allowed to ask specific information like names and, specific personal addresses. As I looked up each of these cases, for example, by the way, the failure to answer these, and this is what On Your 6 and JM4 Holsters is dealing with here, it's only a $500 fine. Now, I went to the Commerce, like I said, I did a lot. Oh, shoot, I didn't leave that window open, and I'm not going to bore you. But if you go to the Census Bureau's website, according to them, it's a $5,000 fine. I don't know if they're trying to scare these companies into squealing out their customers or what, or if it's just a typo where they put 5,000 instead of 500. But the law and an agency can't charge you or fine you more than the law allows them to. Now, there are some times where the agency is allowed to set fines between a certain perimeter. This has no perimeter. It says a fine not more than $500. Now, if you give a false answer, it's $10,000. But if you just refuse to answer the thing, it's a $500 fine. And I will tell you right now, if you're looking for a holster, okay, JM4. Now, there are others out there. Again, I only have permission from 2, and 2 are willing to take this battle on face first. But JM4 and On Your 6 holsters, they are protecting their customers, and they're refusing. They believe that your privacy and your information is worth more to them than that $500, and they're willing to pay that $500 fine. So how do you help them do that? Go buy a holster. But it's only a $500 fine. So, ignore it. Pay the $500. move on. And they can't like keep sending it to you and keep fining you $500. Okay, they just can't do that because it's for the questionnaire or the schedule. So if you see here, any census, any other schedule or questionnaire, so it's not like they can just keep sending you the same one and then say, okay, $500. Oh, you didn't do that one. Here it is again. We're asking you again, $500. They can't do that. So let's go back to each of these. This is so that's sort of my conspiracy-minded view of what is going on with the Biden administration's demand that these holster companies, and why are all these holster companies getting targeted? Again, out of 32.5 million businesses, only 160,000 of them are receiving this commodity flow survey. And of that small percentage, 160,000, a large percentage of holster companies are getting these surveys. It's a little fishy to me. It's a little fishy. And I'm glad that there are a lot. And it's more than just those two. I'll tell you this. It's more than just those two. There are a lot of holster companies that are not going to be turning these in. And let me also say, I am not advising anyone to break the law at all. And I'm not giving any legal advice here. I'm just saying what is happening, what is the law. The law is you get fined $500 if you don't do it. A company has to decide what's more important to me, $500 or my customers' information. Okay, the potential for whatever the government's going to use this information for. It's just kind of fishy to me that we've got a Supreme Court that is recognizing the right to keep and bear arms. We've got an expansion of gun rights throughout the country with now 25 unlicensed carry states and more, at least 6 right now, that are considering going unlicensed carry, where the government won't be tracking through the use of licensing who's got guns anymore, because they're not getting, people won't be getting licenses if they don't need to. I mean, some will, because there are benefits to having a license, but how else are they going to get this information and be able to track people with guns? Well, here's an idea. How about we find out where holsters are getting shipped to? So I want to go through, and that's pretty much what's going on. That's the crux of this video is why. Why is the federal government targeting holster companies? And it only makes sense that they'd want to know where these holsters are going, because where the holsters go, the guns are. Where the guns are, the people are carrying them, because there's no other reason to get a holster if you're not going to carry the gun. In my mind, I mean, I've got a lot of holsters. I don't have a lot of holsters just to be able to put my gun in a holster. I can just keep it in the safe or in its box. I have holsters so that I can carry my specific firearms. And I have several different holsters for several different firearms for several different reasons. Some guns I have several different holsters for, just depending on what I'm going to use it for. So I've already talked about 8B. 8B is the section of the code that essentially says, hey, this is who we can collect the information for. We can collect it for states. So do you think that California, New York, Illinois, Hawaii, you think those states would be asking the federal government, hey, can you find out, why don't you do a survey and find out where these holsters are going so that we can, target those and find out where the people are who are carrying guns now. All right, the next one is 131. So essentially what 131 is, that just says that, every 5 years they're going to do a census, and the census is, they're required by law to be filed. And for manufacturers, mineral industries, and other businesses, distributive trades, service establishments, transportation, etc. So that's just saying, hey, this is the law that says that every 5 years you've got to do some kind of survey, census, I guess you could say. All right, next one on here is 193. These are just, so if you do a supplemental, and I don't know that the commodities flow survey is if it's a supplemental or preliminary, but essentially if they're going to do a supplemental, if they're going to do a survey, it has to have something to do with the main topic. And they can't just send out a whole bunch of surveys that are completely unrelated to whatever the main survey is. And I can't find anything that says something about holsters or firearms. When I looked through the rules, I saw, and I did a term search, I couldn't find the word firearms and I couldn't find the word holsters anywhere in there. So it's not like they're trying to find out, hey, where's the leather going? What are they, or where's Kydex? What's Kydex being turned into? So it seems a little more nefarious that it's going to holster companies when there's nothing specifically targeting in any of the notices that have been sent out about surveys, anything to do with this topic. So that just seemed a little bit awkward and weird to me. And then you've got Title 49, Section 6302. This is what the director, the Bureau of Transportation Statistics, what the director is supposed to do, and he's supposed to ensure statistics under Clause 6. You go down to Clause 6, and it's all about transportation stuff. So I don't understand how that applies to, that law would not apply in this instance because I don't see how this is going to impact transportation. Again, you're sending out a holster to this guy or two holsters to that lady. You're not sending out truckloads of holsters to big box stores. These are small businesses, independently owned and operated, many times out of a basement or a garage, or a small office or something like that. So how it's got an impact on transportation decision making, I don't see it. They're not sending it to the big companies. I called a few of the big companies that you do see in places like Academy, Dick's, or some other big box store. They haven't gotten these surveys, or at least they're telling me they didn't get these surveys. They had no idea what I was talking about. But all but one of the small business holster companies that you see online that literally cater directly to, hey, I want a holster for my Sig Sauer Emperor Scorpion 1911 with rail, and then they create your holster based off of the Blue Gun, that version that they have, and then they ship it out to you. They make it for you, or they might have a couple in stock, but not many, for each individual firearm. But generally, they make these things as they're ordered. That's who these are going to. There's no reason to worry about decision making for transportation in that scenario. So I don't understand where that fits in at all. And then, of course, the same law, which is Title 13 USC, requires that you respond. That's where I was bringing you up. This is 224. What happens if you don't respond? Yeah, the law says you have to respond, but if you refuse, we're going to fine you $500. And on your 6 and JM4 have said, go flatulate yourself, go fart on yourself. You know what I'm talking about. And then 225, which is just, I didn't even pull down, as you can see, I didn't even pull down 225 because it's just more of the same here. All right, but what I can do is go to 225 over here just to show you that I'm not trying to hide anything. Uh-oh, what'd I do? I did something here. Come on, where's 225? There it is. Let me bring this up. I'll just bring this up to you. And this is the very last law that was mentioned on that document. This is just the applicability. So this is what here's where the public notice was. That's why I went and looked. I'm like, oh, did they even publish a public notice about this? Because I didn't see any public notice, but it was back in November. And then that public notice has to be at least 30 days in advance of requesting a return. So that was because it was November and they're just now getting these. But it says here, after publication of a determined with reasons therefore, information called for is needed to aid or permit the efficient performance of essential government functions and services, or has significant application to the needs of the public, business, and industry, and is not publicly available from non-governmental or other governmental sources. I just don't see anywhere, reasonably or logically, how this commodity flows survey of small business holster companies in any way is sufficient to aid or permit the performance of essential government services or functions. what does it matter to how the government performs? Even if you're saying that, well, we have to understand what is the impact on the transportation infrastructure of these holster companies. Come on. The USPS is going out there anyway. The needs of the public, business. We look, if businesses have a need that's not being fulfilled by the government, they have lobbyists. They can go to their representatives and their senators and they can figure it out that way. So even when you look at the law, the applicability of the penal provisions here, when you look at the law that they're supposed to follow, well, the law itself says it has to have some meaningful connection to essential government functions and services. It's right there in the law. Right there. Right there. So that's what I wanted to bring up today. I wanted to make you aware that the Census Bureau is pulling this crap, and I can't really find a rational basis for it. Unfortunately, when you use the rational basis test, the government always wins anyway, because they can make up any any excuse from the government, or a government agency will meet the rational basis test. It's pretty much, if there's a rational basis test, the government's going to win. It's not until you get to intermediate scrutiny or strict scrutiny that you have a chance of doing anything. But check out JM4 holsters. If you're looking for a holster, and on your 6 holsters, check them out. I'll have one of the JM4 holsters here pretty soon. And I'll let you know what I like about it. But they're standing up. They're standing strong. If you go to Ammo Land right now, there should be a story about this. It wasn't up a little while ago, but it should be up any minute. If it's not, because before this, I was getting my hair cut and stuff. But ammoland.com has a story about this as well, I believe. That's why I waited till today to do the video. I was going to do it on Monday, but I waited today because I wanted to wait for that AmmoLand story to come out, and it's supposed to come out either while I was doing this video or right before I did this video, also explaining some of it. But I wanted to give you my take without reading the AmmoLand, just going through the laws and my personal conversations with various big and small holster companies that are being targeted. And again, it boggles my mind, because I have to. Oh, I closed those windows. Dang it! I was going to bring up those. Oh no, I did have it here. Here we go. I mean, if you look at, again, the number of small businesses in the country, 32.5 million. 32.5 million businesses. But this survey only went out to 160,000 total businesses. Now, keep in mind, this number 32.5 million, that's just small businesses. That doesn't include corporations. So there's many more than that. Many more than 32.5 million. That's just small businesses. And yet only 160,000 businesses total, respondents total, received this survey. And of those, I know of at least, I think I contacted 15 different companies. And of those 15, 13 said they got in the commodity survey. The 2 that said they did not were larger businesses. And there was at least one other large holster business. They're still not a manufacturer, like, a big box type holster business, but they're one of the larger ones. Said they did get it. But the two big ones that you'll find, like Blackhawk, for example, and what was the other one I contacted? Whatever the other big holster company is that you see in, I probably should have written all this down, but they did not get it. So it's literally small businesses that are getting these things, and that's why I wanted to bring this up. All right, guys, that's it. I don't know what's going on. What do you think is going on? Let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think is the reason that the government is sending out these surveys to holster companies, asking them where. Here you go. Let me bring this up again. Asking them where they're located, when this stuff was shipped, how much was it worth, what did you ship, what kind of holsters, and the other stuff is for, like, where did it go, what city, what zip code did it go to, obviously not all of these will pertain to holster companies, but it just seems odd to me. Seems very odd to me. And like they said in the comments there, it's none of the government's business. When you've got, that'd be like sending me something because I send out OCT t-shirts. Oh, we want to know who all your t-shirts are going to. Screw you. Nothing I send out is affecting transportation. So, all right, guys. Let me see. Holster companies need to ignore these surveys. Absolutely. Well, I can't say that they need to or not. I can't advise people to break the law. I just don't understand I don't know if there's really the authority to. If the government wants this information on holsters, they should get a warrant. Absolutely. And of course, Emmanuel Goldstein, he's right off. Yeah, the government needs to F right off. Yeah, figure out how much military gear is going in the black market in Ukraine. Yeah, that's what they really need to be worrying about. Let's see. I know it's not related on the issue you're speaking on, but I had a question in relation to traveling. Can I legally carry a firearm with me on a Greyhound or Megabus? That, because Greyhound is a private company, you would have to use their rules. And I believe you can if it's checked underneath the bus. But I don't know what the Greyhound policies are. Legally, there's nothing against it. I know on Amtrak, which is government funded, you are allowed to carry on Amtrak in your checked baggage, kind of like airplanes. And you know who did that? Obama did. You weren't able to carry on Amtrak until Obama did that. So I'm going to say something that people aren't going to like, and that is that Obama actually expanded gun rights more than Trump did through Amtrak and national parks. All right, and that's pretty much it. Let's see. Shouldn't the government have to get a warrant for this information? It doesn't have to, and I'll tell you why. Because under the Commerce Clause, the government, and under the Census Clause of the Constitutions, the government is allowed to conduct census, and the government is allowed to force businesses engaged in interstate commerce to, they're allowed to do that kind of stuff. I mean, it's the expansion of the Commerce Clause of the Constitution. They only would need a warrant if they were asking for specific customer information, like names, addresses, things like that. They're trying to keep this very broad. There is a case, I didn't bring it up, but there's one case out there, and it's from like 1887, because I wanted to find out, has anybody ever been prosecuted for this? Now, I know another YouTuber said that he found a case from like 1994 where they actually prosecuted a guy for refusing to answer the census, and that was it, or for the flow survey. And there was just one guy. So, 1% of the time someone will get, if that, someone will get prosecuted. But I only found one case. It was from 1887 that essentially said, as long as they're not collecting personal information, because I guess in this particular instance, they were trying to collect personal information about the directors and their private information and stuff, that it was perfectly fine as long as they kept it like they're trying to keep it in this case. So, all right. And with that, I am going to be awesome if everyone said they're sending their holsters to New York City and Los Angeles. There you go. That would be funny. All right. All right, guys, I'm going to end this. I got to get back to my studying. You guys take care. Be safe. Be free. And next time there's something notable, I'll let you know.